Yeah, let's do this. So we're going to talk about the South Carolina Family Engagement Framework. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce two members of a wonderful team. They worked overtime to make this summit possible. And what we hope is going to be the beginning of the steps to make South Carolina a premier state for family and community engagement. And so in addition to long walks along the beach, Leslie Bloss serves as a Title I Parent and Family Engagement Coordinator at the South Carolina Department of Education. She has been an early childhood teacher for 17 years and worked in Kershaw and Richland too. She has a bachelor's in elementary education and early childhood and a master's in literacy. Didn't go to FMU, Dr. Pulowski, but she was close. And burning the midnight oil, calling after hours to get people registered for the conference is Regina Thurmond. She serves as a family and community engagement liaison at the South Carolina Department of Education. She served as an ed associate with the Office of Educator Effectiveness. She's worked 27 years in leadership development, services to underserved populations, parent-family engagement, and continuous in-school improvement. So without further ado, I give you Leslie Bloss and Regina Thurmond.
Good morning, guys. I'm gonna get our presentation shared.
Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Don, so much for that introduction. We are so excited about this opportunity to come before everyone to talk about and take a look at the South Carolina Family Engagement K-12 framework. As we kick off our presentation, we would love for you to type in the chat your name and where you're from in your role. We want to know who's on this journey with us. And so if you would, where are you from and what is your role? You take a minute to do that, a few seconds to do that, because we know that you're coming from all across the state. So we know that we have some teachers on the journey with us. We have some parent liaisons. We have some Title I facilitators. We have principals. We know that folks are coming from the upstate. Folks are here from the Midlands. Thank you. Wow, look at that. Look at that. It's like a waterfall from all across the state this morning. Thank you. Thank you. This is great. And so this is going to make for a great conversation around the framework. And so I'm going to, as you continue to place in the chat where you're from and your role so that we can just see as we dive deeper into our morning session, just where folks are coming from. Leslie?
So while you're also busy with your fingers in the chat box, if you'll go ahead and tell us if you are familiar with the South Carolina Family Engagement K-12 framework. Just a simple yes or no, or if you are like, yes, we use it every day, that's awesome. Perfect. I see it's a mixed bag of it, yes and no.
Yes.
Perfect. So we are going to dive deep into the framework with you guys today. The development took 18 months of meeting and planning and involved several different stakeholders. Quickly, you've already done this for me. You've already told me if you're familiar, so we're going to keep it moving. All right, Ms. Regina.
Well, thank you. So you can see, you know, I think anytime you dive into something like this framework, it's always great to know the backstory, to know the history. How did we get here? And so we really want to take some time this morning to sort of kind of lift up at least 3 of the legislative mandates that really sort of kind of sets into place what the state superintendent has been tagged with doing, the district superintendents, and even our parents. And so we're going to take a look at that. What I would like for you to do, we're going to start with the state superintendent. So this particular legislative mandate sort of kind of outlines what our state superintendent should be doing. And so I want you to, I'm not going to read it. I invite you to take a look at these state statutes and see what the state superintendent has been charged with. What on this list resonate with you? If you would type in the chat. And there is one in particular that I want to sort of kind of highlight. Dr. Pulowski talked about it a great deal. She mentioned earlier number 8, where she talked about national organizations that help to promote this parental involvement or engagement, I should say, work. I think about organizations like the one that she mentioned, the National Network for Partnership Schools, huge. Joyce Epstein's work, huge, research-based, proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Another one that I would love to uplift is the National Association of Family School Community Involvement, NASCI. I mean, if you're not familiar with their work, you definitely want to check them out. So if you would please, is there anything that the state superintendent has been charged with that resonate with you? And add, are there other national organizations that you subscribe to? Anything else on the list? Yes. We have some great information in the chat.
So it appears, Regina, that some people can only see part of the slide for this one. So I just wanted to point that out.
Okay. So they can only see. Okay, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Some people can see the left-hand side, some people can see the middle, some people can see, so I'm not sure.
So I see, and you're right, Leslie, you're right. They cannot see. But I see in the chat that number 7, identify, recommend, and implement ways to integrate programs and funding. Number 9 is another one that has been highlighted. Number 10, monitor and evaluate parental involvement. I hear a lot about that. It is not enough to engage in this work, but how effective is the work? And how do you know? What proof, what evidence do you have to support that? The data does tell a story. The data enhances, it allows us to enhance the work that we're doing. Yes. Okay, so that's the one that we're looking at for the state superintendent. We're going to take a look at the one for district superintendents. Leslie?
Sure. So just like the state superintendent, the district superintendent is charged with some things as well. There's a split into 2 different sections. So there's things that they shall consider and things that they really must do. So some things that they shall consider is designating staff to serve as a parent liaison, requiring each school to designate a faculty contact for parent involvement, and they'll work with that district coordinator. Require each school principal to designate a space within their school specifically for parents, which contains materials and resources. And then encourage principals to adjust class and school schedules to accommodate parent-teacher conferences at times that are more convenient for parents, and possibly to accommodate parents in cases where transportation and normal school hours present hardship. So we're meeting them where they're at, which Dr. Pulowski talked about. Those are things that they need to consider. Things that they shall do is include a parental involvement expectation as part of their principal's evaluation, include information about parental involvement, and then they also need to disseminate to all parents of the district the expectations that are laid out in the next section. All right, Ms. Regina, what's the next section about for the parent?
Thank you. Of course, there is no way we could engage in this work without involving our parents. And this particular state statute outlines the role, the critical role that parents play in students' learning and academic success. I invite you again to take a look at the list. What resonate with you? I think it's so incredibly important that our parents have been thought of, written into this work, because they are partners too, and we need them. What on this list truly resonate with you with regards to our parents? If you would type in the chat, you can use the chat to highlight some of the number, the number that speaks to you. And especially when you think about, I love what Josh just said, all for me. Yes, absolutely. And when you think about this pandemic and the impact that it has had on everyone, it is all about doing things differently. And so, and folks are agreeing with Josh, and I do too. And I wonder, as we think about the pandemic, and how we do things differently. I think about our theme. We're talking about going beyond the typical family night. We're talking about how do you reboot? How do you renew? How do you re-engage given all that has happened? 2020 was unbelievable. And so helping our parents to get connected, stay connected is critical. And I'm so glad that this particular statue is in place as well. All of them, absolutely. Parent-family engagement, yes. Okay, so we're gonna move on to look at the mission and the definition. Leslie?
Sure. Real quick, I put in my headset. Let's see if that helps out a little bit. Can you guys give me a thumbs up or let me know if the sound's better?
It's better.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So the South Carolina State Department's mission and vision and definition of family engagement are embedded in our framework and offer a starting point for our work. So the mission and vision states that the South Carolina State Department is to provide leadership support so that all public education students graduate prepared for success. The vision is that all students graduate prepared for success in college, careers, and citizenship. And then the definition of family engagement from the South Carolina State Department says that when families are actively involved in the learning and development of all students to become college and career ready. As you can see, both of these go hand in hand, and we embedded those, like I said, into our framework. So, Ms. Regina, are you ready to dig deeper into that framework?
Absolutely. Are you with me? So we would like to really take some time to just take a closer look at the framework. And you would have an opportunity to share with us some of the strategies. There are 5 strategies that we're going to look at. And so as we do that, we're going to allow time for what we're calling brag time. Dr. Pulaski had her dunk truck. And so we're going to allow you to share some of your strategies that are working for you. Keep in mind that family engagement is vital in ensuring that each student is provided the opportunity to be academically successful so that they are college, career, and overall citizenship ready upon graduation. Therefore, this instrument, this particular framework, the South Carolina Family Engagement K-12 framework, serves as a resource guide or tool for both school and district in planning and implementing strategies for family engagement. And I do emphasize resource guide. One of the things that I hear a lot that folks love about the framework is short, sweet, but very impactful. So we're going to take some time to dive in a little deeper. Leslie? We can't hear you.
Okay, I've changed my headset again. Tell me if this is better for you guys.
Better.
Okay. All right, perfect. Sorry, guys. Okay. All right, so the first section is building relationships. The foundation for building relationships begins with mutual respect, trust, and valuing diversity. Relationships should encompass the ability to communicate with the purpose of listening and learning, as well as apprising all partners and advocates of the student's social, emotional, and academic development. So we've really been honing in on that social emotional lately, especially through the pandemic. In order to build and cultivate relationships, mutual time, trust, respect, and diversity must be established. Doing so helps to break down barriers that might exist and allow families, schools, communities to engage. This in turn creates a foundation for increased collaboration and communication, as well as academic engagement and learning mastery. So, like Regina said, Dr. Pulowski shared some amazing strategies with us. However, now it's your turn. Our experts from the field, we want you to brag about some successful and out-of-the-box ways that you are building relationships with your families and community. I encourage you to drop some things in the chat, and I also encourage you to use this opportunity to learn from each other. If you see something in the chat that really wows you, pull out that cell phone and snap a picture. All right, so let's do what we've got. Yes. I'm glad this sounds much better. Sorry, guys.
So this is your opportunity to just sort of kind of brag and showcase some of the work that you're doing at the building level, in your district, in the communities. We invite our partners to partake in this as well. What are you doing to help promote and build, strengthen relationship, especially when you think about the pandemic?
Right. I love that some of the things that have popped in the chat so far are things that are meeting people where they're at, things that they're already doing, like giving out books for Halloween, and books and barbers. That's a great program where there's books and barbershops for those kids to read while they're waiting. Yes, food is definitely a motivator for a lot of people.
Always, yes.
I have an unhealthy relationship with food, so I understand. Yes, it is huge. When I was in the classroom, I definitely made sure that I went and attended football games and other performances of my students to show them that our relationship was not just right there in the classroom, that I was invested in them. Awesome. So again, I tell you, if you see, I see lots of really amazing things. I suggest that you pull out your cell phone and snap some of those so you can remember them for future planning.
I like the one too that I see here where it says attending out of school student functions. I think that that's incredibly important as well. Hands-on kits, parent students. Yes, holding back to school nights specifically for multilingual learners. Absolutely, that is incredibly important as well. Personal calls, there's nothing like, I mean, really, someone calling you just to say, I'm thinking of you. Right. You know, how can I help? I'm present. Very powerful. Another powerful strategy. Yes.
I always made sure that my parents, and I know that this is like out in the field, it's like a thing, but I always made sure my parents had my cell phone. They were able to text anytime that they needed a question about homework, or they just wanted to tell me that, you know, their son or daughter had lost a tooth that night or whatever. And that it just opened that door for communication and really helped build that relationship with them. All right, Miss Regina, are you ready to move on to the next part?
Yes. The next strategy, really, I feel like Dr. Pulowski did a phenomenal job with really highlighting the communication piece. And I know that we all know that all too well. It's not just about communicating, but it's effective communication. It is the ability to convey and receive information from families and advocates, thus establishing a two-way communication system using multiple approaches and methods. Clear and ongoing communication contributes to the efforts of building relationships between schools, families, and community. Remember, as Dr. Pawlowski said earlier, it must be two ways, a two-way, and we emphasize must. The communication between family, school, and community must provide clarity, transparency, and continuous dialogues. So again, brag time, we're asking you to share with us, how are you meeting this strategy? What does this strategy look like for you at the building level, in your district, in your community? What are some of our partners doing? I know that you're on this journey with us this morning too. So when we talk about communication, what are you doing well that you would like to share with the group? Let's see.
So I see like creating a parent chat.
Yes. Utilizing social media, key. And
Right.
when we talk about social media, you know, social media can be a good thing, but it also can be negatives. But to use it in this vein, I think is very, very good. Remind app. Okay, very good. What are some other ways? Sending daily pictures of homework agendas through Remind. Yes. Blackboard Connect. Wow, these are all very good. Seesaw. Yes, utilizing social media again. That's weekly newspapers.
Class Dojo. Yep. I use that one a lot.
Yes.
And I also would send like pictures of their kids learning, or if I did something like a read aloud with them or something like that, I would snap photos and send those out for my parents. It was important for them to feel like they were in the classroom at times.
Google Classroom Conference is another one. I think that is that's great. There's nothing like a parent receiving a just because call. I'm calling just because your child is having a great day today. The positive stuff helps bridge and build that relationship. It helps to keep the communication going. School call out via school messenger system.
Yeah. Karen Glenn shared that they do brag conferences. I thought that was amazing.
Wow. Wow. I do like that. And yes, texting. How about that? Quick, fast, and on the spot texting.
Okay. You ready to move on, Miss Regina?
Yes. Leslie?
Okay. All right. So the next one is linking families to learning outcomes. Families need to be informed of how they play a pivotal role in the success of their students. So much of a pivotal role. Connecting families to learning outcomes supports the cultivation of their buy-in for their students' overall attainment of the profile that we talked about earlier. Families are presented with numerous obstacles that may hinder their ability to be involved with their schools, the student schools. And Dr. Pawlowski really talked a lot about that.
Yes.
However, according to the research, the strongest and most consistent predictors of parents' involvement at school and at home are the specific school programs and teachers' practices that encourage and guide parent involvement. Regardless of parent education, family size, student ability, or school level, parents are more likely to become partners in their children's education if they perceive that the schools have strong practices to involve parents at school. And we pulled a lot of that research from Joyce Epstein, which Dr. Pawlowski really honed in on. This strategy helps us to make sure that families are made aware and reminded at all times that they are important in the student's success. How here we cultivate buy-in and work diligently and collaboratively, regardless of education levels, regardless of family size, regardless of socioeconomic status. Here is where we emphasize that we are all partners who share practices for the common goal of student success. So it's brag time again. Drop in the chat some ways that you guys are really doing this, linking your families with those learning outcomes, making them realize that they are part of their students' education. Yes, so absolutely reminding parents that you are your child's first and most important teacher. They go the entire career of their education with them, don't they? Virtual conferencing, especially meeting them where they're at. Oh, I like the social contracts, pulling them in. And I see about the data conferences, and one of the things that's really important is to make sure that when we pull in parents for data conferences, so that they know the things that they need to work on, the goals that they need to set with their kids, and what their kids have accomplished, that we're using language that is friendly to all of those that are sitting down at the conference with us. Absolutely. Sending pictures out, making them a part of it. So they can't, like Dr. Pulaski said, have them come in and be audience members. It doesn't just have to be when you're doing presentations. They can come in and be audience members or guest readers, or, we've mastered a whole lot with virtual education lately. So even if they can't be there in person, imagine what it would be like to have your parents attend a Zoom meeting where you guys are doing a share out.
I love what Elizabeth has here. I give an apple to my parents doing the meeting with teachers to show them that they are their child's first teacher. I like that. Yes. It's when you think about it, in all this work, it is a two-way street. I mean, parents as partners, schools as partners, everybody on the same page for greater impact.
Absolutely.
Great stuff in the chat. PTO,
Absolutely.
SIC.
Yep. Yes, so taking it just when you invite them into those school-wide plannings, like Title I, you've got to have those stakeholders. When you're inviting them to SIC, that you're taking the parents not just from being a part of their child's education, but being a part of that whole school vision.
I love what Willa has in the chat. Keep it simple. That really resonate with me. Parents, they want to know that you care. So it doesn't have to be all the glitz and glamour, but keeping it simple and to the point, and strengthening that connection, that linkage is important.
Awesome. All right, let's go to the next section. Here's our next strategy.
So the fourth strategy that we're going to horn in on is the collaborative practices. Dr. Pulaski highlighted this one as well. There's no way we can talk about partnerships without talking about Joyce Epstein, Karen Mapp, and all of our other scholars who are out there championing partnerships. So collaborative practices. This particular strategy takes us back to linking families and learning outcomes. Here, it is necessary for us to plan and implement initiatives that bring families, schools, and community together to learn from each other. Everyone knows that they are each an asset to student success. Everyone is viewed through an asset-based lens: teachers, families, community, and students. Karen Mapp, that's Karen Mapp talk. Collaborative partners allow for the sharing of information and working together to deliver outcomes that are not easily or effectively achieved by working in silos. So here we go. Brag time. How are you championing this? What does this look like for you in your school, in your district? Who are your partners? We know that schools today cannot go at it alone. We need our partners. So what are you doing to foster that, to promote that, especially in this pandemic era. Again, encouraging, inviting participation on school-wide planning committees. Love it. Thank you, Linda, for that. Love it. Yes. Reward parents and students using community coupons. I like. Let's see, what else do we have here? What are some other unique, creative ways that you're promoting and building, strengthening collaborative partnerships? Okay, so you know what? And I see what Janice is saying, that she's new. And so this is today's session. You're being on this family engagement journey with us. You're going to learn a lot, lots of takeaways.
Awesome. Dr. Stockdale shared about a partnership fair where community members set up tables to promote awareness about their services.
And there's nothing like a good drive-by event, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, yes. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh, I like popping with the principal.
Yes, I was just kidding. Yes. Yes. Let's see, what else do we have here?
Well, I like the fact that, I mean, so often we put flyers for our events in like folders, child's folders, but going to local businesses and having them put them in their bags when they're checking out, that's amazing. Making sure that the message gets home.
Thank you for that, Leslie. And I love what Cindy has in the chat about working together with our district, community, local university, and support agencies to offer a parent academy each week to address mental health, SEL, student engagement, and more. Wow, I really like that. So there is some really phenomenal, unique strategies that are taking place across our state.
Absolutely. All right.
So let's see. Let's do one more.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, we mentioned collaboration with churches, but also I like that one, but I like picnic on the lawn. Hey, that's great. All right. So Leslie, I'm going to go ahead and allow you to address the fifth strategy.
Absolutely. So the fifth and final strategy is community partnerships. Community partnerships are mutual commitments and an ongoing practice in which community organizations and schools engage families in relevant and culturally suitable ways. School community partnerships can take a variety of forms. The most common linkages are partnerships with businesses, which can differ significantly in focus, scope, and content. Other school community linkages involve universities, other educational institutions, government and military agencies, healthcare organizations, faith-based organizations, national service and volunteer organizations, senior citizen organizations, cultural and recreational institutions, other community-based organizations, and community volunteers who may provide resources and social support to youth and schools. And so I know for a fact that we have a whole scope of people on our call today. So we've got some of those university partnerships that are attending. We also have some different partnerships that are attending as well. And then I know that some of our sessions this afternoon are really going to let you learn some more about some of these partnerships. Partnership activities also have multiple foci. Activities may be student, family, school, or community centered. And guess what? All of that resource comes from Joyce Epstein again. This partnership should be mutual commitments and ongoing practices. There should be an engagement between schools and communities and families through means that are realistic, relevant, that's a big one, relatable, and diverse. It's that time again, friends. All right, it's your final brag time. Tell us some community partnerships that you and your district, or maybe you are that community partnership. Tell us about those. Oh, I like the Cooking Matters with the Low Country Food Bank.
That's very unique.
Yes. Oh, I like the military bases and doing some STEM activities. That's great.
Willow States, before the pandemic, we had our literacy school-wide celebration sponsored by our local library. Wow, that's great. It was a great bridge to keep families engaged in lifelong reading. That's wonderful, yes. Some really great stuff in the chat. School night at a local restaurant. There's our local library again, faith-based organizations. Spartanburg, Greenville, Hispanic organizations. Yes.
Oh, I love the Publix math nights. Absolutely.
Mhm. Lots of great information in the chat, and we thank you so much for sharing. The Purple Star Military partnership, absolutely, absolutely. Lots of great information in the chat.
All right, we're gonna keep it moving, Miss Regina, because I'm looking at the clock.
Okay. So as we said to you earlier, one of the beautiful things about this framework, it is a resource. And so Leslie is going to drop the link in the chat of the framework so that you can have this information to go back and take a look at. Part of the framework is this quick self-assessment. Now, Appendix D, if you look at this particular assessment, it looks like just a checklist. But if you were to really give thought to some of what's on this checklist, this quick self-assessment of your school, and you could use the results from here, from this particular assessment. You can utilize the results to evaluate where you are right now, your current strengths of strategies, and maybe where you want to be, maybe what any changes that you need to make. So you can assess whether you are meeting that strategy, maybe not yet, or maybe it's one that you are developing. So it's a great way to inspect where you are and maybe where you want to go. And so when you look at the strategies, a welcoming environment. So when parents, community, when folks come in your school, does your school reflect the population that you're serving? Home visits, where are you with that? Who's making the home visits? Who's actually going out to do this? And who's on the team? We know that this work cannot be done alone. One of the things with this, and keep me posted on the time, Leslie, I know, but one of the things I really want to point out here, the link we've dropped in the chat, lots of resources, a ton of resources. So Appendix D is the quick self-assessment piece. Let's go to the next slide.
Sure. So Appendix E is a toolkit. So we allowed you guys to brag, but in Appendix E, this is literally some different activities that schools here in South Carolina are doing to meet this framework. And there are some amazing opportunities for you to read about just things that are successful for them to build that family and engagement.
Dr. Pawlowski mentioned earlier, and we're going to highlight it again. This particular book, the School, Family, and Community Partnership, your handbook for an action plan, is really helpful. It's good. We utilize this, and this went into part of our developing the framework itself. And so one of the things that we want to emphasize, again, the next slide, is that the resources are available to you. And as we think about this work, we invite you to think about, where are we as a state? How can we support you? Where are you going in terms of your family, community, parent engagement? What are next steps for you? How can we be a source of support? And one of the things that we do, our partnership runs deep, and we know that it's important that all parties have a seat at the table. We partner with the Carolina Family Engagement Center. We partner in-house. I mean, when I think about some of the agencies, we even have an internal roundtable here at the State Department where the different offices that touch on, and there's at least 7 or more that touch on family engagement, come together. And I want to highlight too some of the work that's being done, and we didn't talk about it today, but it will come another day, the work around teacher preparation. And so we're going to be sharing out that information with you. The national organization, you heard me mention NASCI earlier. We've talked about the National Network for Partnerships in Schools. Critical. You all know this work because I know that some of you are dealing with some of these scholars as well, from Joyce Epstein's, Karen Myers, NASCI, and some of the other organizations, local organization, our School Improvement Council, PTO. All of those folks are willing to help us champion family engagement across the state of South Carolina.
Sure. And I know that you mentioned higher education.
Yeah.
So Dr. Tracy West from Columbia College mentioned that she just wants to remind that the school partners to reach out to your local colleges and universities.
Yes.
That they've got those students that are in the education program that are looking for some service and to see things in action.
I love what Ruth has too about, they created partnerships with local businesses that bring financial support items and support at events as well. YMCA, yes, it's on the list as a partner. Yes. What else do we see in the chat? There's lots of great information in the chat. And where would we be without our faith base? I saw in the chat earlier, Angela McNeil had mentioned Hearts for Schools and the work that they do. That's the Baptist Convention Center. The work that they do, I mean, it's impactful and it's great. Let's see, what else? Boys and Girls Club, the Girl Scouts, Boy Scout. Retirement Center. Wow, there's a thought. There's a thought. I like that. Yes, if we had time, I could tell you a story about that, but that's a good one as well. Boys and Girls Club, after school. Lots of great information in the chat. And
Absolutely.
Leslie did drop the link in the chat. So you have that framework to take a look at. If we can assist in any way, I can tell you that we are providing roundtable sessions, regional sessions for our stakeholders to help support them and to help create community so that they can come together as well and share out this information, because there's a lot of great things. We are doing a phenomenal job with championing family engagement across the state of South Carolina.
Absolutely. And Regina and I are both recently, new to our roles. I've been in my role for a little over a year, but Regina has been with us for a few months and just came in and hit the ground running. So again, I am Leslie Bloss, and I am your Title I Parent and Family Engagement Coordinator through the Office of Federal and State Accountability. And my information is here if you should have any questions that specifically relate to Title I and Parent and Family Engagement. Please reach out to me. And
I am Regina Thurmond, your Family and Community Engagement Liaison with the Office of Student Intervention Services. And we have a lot of phenomenal work that's coming out of the Office of Student Intervention Services around engagement. And so if you want to contact me, my information is there. And we thank you so much for being a part of this journey.
Absolutely. So I'm going to stop share, and we're going to kind of check the chat to see if there's anything. And then
I love what I see here with Cindy, the work with Winthrop. Yes, we talk about working with our local colleges. Yes, Winthrop has a lot of phenomenal things going on as well. Someone is
Sure.
asking that we repost our contact information. We'll do
Sure.
that. Please feel free to reach out to us. I don't see any questions in the Q&A. But
Awesome.
nevertheless, you have our information. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
All right, so I am going to give you a couple directions for what happens for the rest of the day. All right, so they're going to drop a link in the chat for you that is going to take you to the day at a glance. And within the day at a glance, or our schedule, you'll see that there are sessions. We're about to go into some breakout sessions. So from 11 to 12, there will be a slate of different options for you to attend. And then we'll break for lunch. And then there'll be sessions from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. And so you will simply click on the links that are on that that day at a glance page that's about to be dropped in the chat for you to follow and go to the different sessions. Now, I have had many questions about the other sessions. So what if I want to attend this one, but I really want to see this one? No worries. All sessions will be recorded, and give us some grace.
Yes.
Within a couple weeks, Regina and I will get all of those sessions and presentations uploaded to the South Carolina Department of Ed website. And I'm sure that we can make sure that we share with you all when that is posted. So that way you'll be able to access any sessions that you have attended, as well as access sessions that maybe you weren't able to attend. At 3 o'clock, however, we invite you to come back to this main room, and it's at the top of that day at a glance. It will tell you the link to come back here. And we will have closing remarks from Dr. J.R. Green from Fairfield County Schools. He is their superintendent, and we're really looking forward to hear the many ways that he has fostered partnerships with family and community engagement and the community there in Fairfield County. So I saw that they dropped everything in the chat. If you guys don't have any questions, you have a 10-minute break to refill your coffee or whatever you feel like you may need to do before you need to head into your next session. So remember to hit that page, choose what you would like to participate in at 11 o'clock. And we will look forward to seeing you all back here at 3 o'clock for the final.
Enjoy your day.
Absolutely. We got lots of things planned for you guys from across the map, many things. So Regina, you have anything that you want to add on?
Nope, you covered it. All the links are in the chat, from bios to the concurrent sessions. So we'll see you shortly. Enjoy your break.